Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Looks like everything's working, so I'm going to take those off. Good to see everybody here. I see some familiar faces in the chat already. Go ahead and if you are joining us live, go ahead and introduce yourself and say where you're joining from, and we'll see where everybody pops up on the map. Also, you might notice that the garbage truck is outside right now, and we're getting an excellent auditory experience of loading all of the garbage cans from the alley onto the truck. So apologies, but they're probably done soon. But good to see everybody here. It looks like we've got a good European crowd in the chat now, and our friends from the US are joining as well. So I was scrambling for the last hour or so to yet again reconfigure everything on my desk, because I've got some fun new stuff to show today and talk about. I just saw somebody from Singapore pop up, and I realized that the map isn't big enough to show everybody. So let me zoom that out. There we go. It's not quite the right shape. I can't get it quite right. Maybe if I do this. There we go. Also, I've been getting a lot of people asking me how I've been doing this map, and I finally decided to post that code, and it is now available on GitHub. So it's very rough. It's very rough around the edges still. It is not a finished product by any means, but if you would like to give it a shot, you are welcome to try it. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to that in the chat. And I know that a lot of people are interested, and I know some of you are developers anyway. So I would recommend not trying to get this running unless you're familiar with writing some amount of code, or at least command line stuff, because it is not a polished thing by any means. But that is a link to the code. It is in the chat now. And see if anybody else starts using it. It's fun either way. So yeah, good to see everybody here. And let's go ahead and pop back over. So quick rundown of what we've got going on today. So you might notice I got a haircut. I couldn't take it anymore. I hadn't had a proper haircut since November, and I was editing. I'm filming now for a course, and I was editing the first section, staring at myself for hours and hours, looking at my hair, and I was like, I cannot do this for another 40 hours, and I couldn't take it anymore. And luckily, the barber down the street just opened back up, full process for sanitizing and social distancing and everything. So it was fine, and now I don't have to stare at that awful hair for any longer. So that was fun. And that same day was actually the day that I replaced the fan in my Hyperdeck. So it is now on my desk, completely silent. Cannot hear a thing. That was what did the little animated intro at the beginning. And now I can actually like leave it here and make it part of this workflow, because it is not blaring a fan in my face. This was the old fan, and this was the fan that was originally in it. Come on, camera. I know you can focus. So yeah, this camera, G7, not the best autofocus, but it's fine. It works for the most part. And I literally just clipped off the connector for the fan because the one that came in the kit did not have the right size little connector, so I had to steal it from the real fan. So yeah, no going back. I'm permanently on the quiet fan now, but that's fine. Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's completely silent. The loudest thing on my desk now is my computer fan. So yeah, those are a couple quick updates. If you do have any questions at any point, feel free to drop a question in the chat. Make sure you mention my full name, and that makes it show up orange on my screen, and I can see that a little better that way, and it'll pop out. And yeah, I'm happy to answer questions on the ATEM Mini, the Hyperdeck. I'm still learning the Blackmagic camera. I'm not on that today. Still back on the G7. So I am learning the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera, as well as now a Resolve workflow. So yeah, that's where I've been struggling a little bit lately, but getting the hang of it. It's good. It's coming along. Let me see if I can do this right. Let me switch back to the chat mirroring so I can show questions. There we go. Okay. So yeah, Marcellus says, I just got my Blackmagic camera delivered today. That's awesome. I've been enjoying it. It's definitely a different experience compared to all my other cameras that I've used. But actually, I think the thing that's most different is because I've just never shot in a flat color profile before. Like everything I've done, all the other videos, I just shoot and take the colors right out of the camera. And I often don't even color grade them because I just try to make it look good the first time. But now with Blackmagic Raw, it's a lot more powerful, but also a lot more to learn. But yeah, pretty exciting. So Roland says, congrats on replacing the Hyperdeck fan. Did you have to solder in order to get the new one installed? So I actually shot a video about, like, while I was doing it, I was filming myself and narrating a little bit. So I do plan on actually editing that together into a video to share. But I thought I was going to not have to solder because it comes with these little crimpy things to connect wires without soldering. That failed. And I did end up having to solder, but I will explain more about that in the video where I can actually show the pieces. And now that they're all in there, I can't show them anymore. So I did end up having to solder. I was not happy about that, but it was fine. I'm really tempted to do this to my television studio now as well, because then I can actually use that here. And I'm going to show you this in a second. What I've got set up here in order to get the Hyperdeck in there, this is a little bit unreasonable. Simon says, did you break any warranty for the fan, or was it out of warranty? I've owned this thing since like 2015, I want to say, so I assume it's out of warranty. I didn't really bother to check, and this absolutely does break the warranty. Like, don't do this if you want the warranty, because if you could like not mangle your original fan, you could probably like put it back in and nobody would notice, because it is just a little clipper thing that pops out. It's a little connector that goes onto the main board. So like you could probably put the original fan back in and nobody would notice, but it definitely does break your warranty to do this, especially the way I did it, which destroyed the original fan. Oh well. And Pickle Jar, yeah, I do have a video. I shot it all. I have not edited that. We'll see if I do. I wasn't really like planning on doing it. There is a video of like a tutorial that I was watching while doing this. So like that's what I was following. You can just find that on YouTube. But I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I should film it, and we'll see if I edit that together at some point. Yeah, so that was the Hyperdeck situation. Speaking of the Hyperdeck, why don't I just show you this while we're here? So I've got my iPhone here, and I'm going to show you the desk tour with my iPhone camera. So that is should be this button. Yeah, no, come on, let's do that instead. Okay, and this camera, this app I'm using is the Live Air app, shared via AirPlay to my Apple TV that's here. So this is what you're seeing is the AirPlay version. So this is my normal setup here, where I have my main ATEM Mini that I'm streaming from. You can see it's on air. This is the one that's actually pushing to YouTube. Gosh, my iPhone camera is a little dirty today or something. And then this is the one that I use for like testing stuff, right? So I can mess with the settings and show you the multi-view from that device. This HDMI out is connected into this one. So right, we're on looking at 4, which is the output from this one. And then, so normally what I do is I have, this is the multi-view from this ATEM, right? So I can just press multi-view there, and then you'll see that I've got my, I don't want to do that. We've got my main camera, the Apple TV, which is the phone, and then the two new ones I've got. So I've got the Hyperdeck, which is up here. I'll get to this one in a second. The Hyperdeck here is actually running 2 SDI to HDMI converters. There we go. And that is, so both SDI outputs from the Hyperdeck are being converted to HDMI, and those are the 2 white cords running into 3 and 4 on the ATEM Mini. That way I can do key and fill. And then this one up here is just because I ran out of inputs, and this is just a regular, not a pro. So I just use this to switch between my wide camera and my main camera. I just ran out of inputs on that because I now use 2 for the graphics. So the Hyperdeck has, I have a couple things loaded into that, and I've got these little SD cards with the graphics on them. So my title is on that one, and again, you have to have all the graphics be the same frame rate in order to use it, in order to play them back. So I have 2 cards because I have graphics in 2 different frame rates, and I didn't want to re-encode them before I did this today, so that works. But yeah, so I'm really excited now to be able to try out the key fill graphics into the ATEM Mini, which it absolutely can do, as I'm going to show you in a second. So let me take a look at the questions here. Where did I leave off? So yeah, I do stream directly from the ATEM Mini and ATEM Mini Pro, obviously, and that's the thing doing encoding to YouTube. The iPhone app that I used it's the Live Air Solo, but there's actually several that work. You do have to make sure that when it does the AirPlay out, it doesn't like crop in and add a black border. And this is one of the few that does that properly, like does a full screen HDMI out. I don't remember the other ones that I tried. At some point I should make a whole list of them, make a video about it, because it was annoying trying to go through and find those. So yeah. So that's over AirPlay. The other way I've done it before is using the NDI app to the Apple TV, which also works fine. But that app, the receiver app, costs $100. Obviously, it's then an NDI device, so it can receive NDI from anything, not just an iPhone. But the AirPlay solution works pretty well too. And that just costs whatever the Live Air app costs. I don't remember how much that was. It may have been free. I don't remember. Mac Exchange says you can get the connector for the replacement fan. Yeah. So if I do this to my television studio, I'm not going to chop the connector off of the original fans. I'm going to buy the proper connector. But I did not realize that in time, and I didn't want to wait to do that replacement till I had a chance to figure out where to get the connector from. But if I do this to my television studio, I'm not going to chop off the ends of the real fan, because I do want to be able to revert back for whatever reason. Yeah, the TV studio fan is so loud. The process of replacing it is actually pretty much the same as the Hyperdeck from what I can see. So it's the same, like, connectors pop into the board, and then it's even the same size fan. Yeah. Let's see. Craig says, how do you get around the limitations of the one HDMI out of the ATEM Mini? So it depends on what limitations you mean. So one HDMI out is, like, for the Pro and I guess the ISO now, it's most likely you're going to be using it as multi-view. The multi-view then means you don't get the HDMI out for your program. So the program outputs then are either USB webcam or network streaming. And so that's one limitation there. Now with the Streaming Bridge, which I haven't received yet because they haven't shipped it, but that will then let you turn the streaming output into an HDMI with a slight delay, but probably fine for most things. So that's an option. If you just need to mirror it, then a splitter should work. Although the splitters I've been using for other things, like to get my Chromecast in here, for some reason those splitters aren't working with the HDMI out of the ATEM. I have no idea why. So I don't have a splitter to recommend for the output there. Yeah. Okay. So where are we? I want to talk about, let's see. So John says, very happy with my new ATEM Mini Pro, except for the horrible green color cast when using it in USB webcam mode. That doesn't sound right. That's definitely a bug, and that should not exist. It should be, the only difference I've seen is that sometimes it's a little bit contrasty compared to the HDMI out, but the colors should be perfect. So try a different computer, see if it does it to all the computers. Otherwise it could be something with the computer's driver. But try to track down where the problem is. And if the problem is that it shows up that way for every computer you plug it into, maybe contact Blackmagic and see if they can fix it, because that should not be the case at all. Morton says, say I work with wireless HDMI, how can I delay the other connected HDMI devices to be in sync with the wireless? I don't think you can. Like, audio delay is typically the thing that you worry about, and there's like tools for, but I don't think I've even seen an HDMI delay device. That's, I would say, like, best options are to either make it so that you are using the same delay on all the cameras, like all your cameras have the same delay, so it doesn't matter, or use them in a way where the delay doesn't matter. So for example, if I have, like, my two cameras have different delay, right? So if I show you can I do this? Yeah, this one should do it. So this camera and the G7 have different delays, and you can probably see if you look at my screen here, like, my hands are definitely not quite in sync, right? They're pretty close. No, they're like a frame or two off. But there's, like, not really a way to get around that. So in this mode, though, the way I'm using it, like, it doesn't really matter because you don't see a big enough version of my face in this view to have that be noticeable. So, like, even if is this going to work? Yes. Even if I have my face up in the corner here, like, it probably looks fine because my hands are moving close enough in sync with what I'm saying that you don't really notice it. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about, Simon says the setup is getting bigger week by week. It is. It's getting a little out of control. And like I said, the fact that I have 3 ATEMs stacked on my desk here is a little bit ridiculous. And at this point, I should probably start using the TV Studio instead because it's got 4 HDMIs and 4 SDIs, which means my Hyperdeck can run into 2 of those SDIs and still leave my 4 HDMIs. But of course, that device does not have streaming hardware in it. So I would have to then, I guess, output that to the ATEM Mini Pro to do streaming to YouTube. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Oh, Roland says if you're using a software switcher like OBS or Wirecast, you can introduce a video delay. That makes sense because the computer is already chewing on the video feed itself. And apparently Livestream Studio also corrects for delays. So yeah, anything I guess that's doing this in software has the ability to do that since it's not a hardware switcher. But then you're stuck with a software switcher, which is my least favorite way to do it. Oh yeah, Michael says, don't forget the included scaler in the ATEM Mini. I know, right? Like the ATEM Mini is a super amazing device, and I hope they bring a lot of these features to the larger ATEMs. I guess they actually did already start doing that with the 4K version of the big panel, or the, I guess, TV Studio one that has like a panel on the top, because that's got like Fairlight and the new keyer and stuff. So they're really just missing the TV Studio upgrade for that right now. Okay, so here's a good question. Is it possible to have profiles for the ATEM for different events, specifically the macros? When restoring the file, the old macros are in the list with the macros from restored file. Yeah, so I feel like this is a bug. But yeah, so if you do the save as, like save your whole state out from the switcher, it'll put everything into an XML file. And let me show you what it looks like, because I think this is only going to make sense if I show you my screen. So this is the one that I'm using right now. So I've got like, it's got all the labels for like, here's my labels for my inputs. This is my Hyperdeck IP address. So all this stuff gets saved into it. But down, there's the audio mixers and stuff, right? Everything gets saved in here, and here are the macros. So the deal though, is that if you have, so I've got like a whole bunch of macros, right? It goes up to like number 30. If this file only contains like 4, and then you restore it into an ATEM where the ATEM itself has more, it doesn't delete the other ones. So like, here's my second ATEM. I've only got 1 macro saved in this for the other ATEM. If I restore this into the ATEM and the ATEM already has macros at the rest of the indexes, those stay there, which is a little bit weird. The one thing you can do is you can like blank them out by just copying this and then like deleting everything and deleting the name, right? So you can do this to like save the fact that it should be deleted. But this is why I feel like it's a bug, because this is not ideal. And I feel like if I'm restoring macros from an XML file, I want it to delete anything that's not in my XML file from the ATEM. Because exactly like you said, it looks like you have macros from the other show that stick around. It also means that there like isn't really a good way to delete macros, because you have to do it one by one. Which I just had to do this morning to get, I hope I didn't need that one. We'll find out. Yeah, so you delete them one by one, and there's no other way to do it really, which is really annoying. So I wish they would make it so that when you restored a file, it would just delete macros that aren't in use. So yeah, that's the deal there. All right. Do you notice the difference between using OBS to stream and the ATEM Mini Pro encoder? I don't use OBS to stream because I don't like it. I don't like making my computer do that much work. My fans turn on full blast and it stresses me out. So yeah, I don't do that. If I had a better computer, like maybe a desktop where the fans were just always on, I might feel differently. But I just have laptops, and they're not strong enough to do that. All right. Jordan says, can you use 3.5 millimeter TRS lav mics meant for a smartphone? I don't think you can use the TRS connector. I think it needs to be TRS. Now I'm not actually sure about that. The mic itself should work fine if you get the little adapter to change it. So like I have somewhere I have a little like 3-inch long adapter to go between the two wirings. So the mic itself should work fine. It just, I think it needs to have the wiring changed. Okay. And again, I'm scrolling through the chat, but if you do have a question for me, make sure you mention my name so that it stands out here with a little orange highlight. And yeah, speaking of chat, this is using my little weird CSS JavaScript hack. So I've got it on my screen here, and then this tab is actually being mirrored to my Chromecast. Oops, I can't see that. So here it's being mirrored to my Chromecast, which is plugged in as one of the inputs so that I can share just the contents of this. This is why you're seeing double down there, because I've one of them is actually overlaid. Here, I'll turn that off. There. And when I click one, then it just pops up down there, and then I've got the keying and cropping and stuff to make it show up right. Cool. And I've talked about that before. I keep going back and forth between this and H2R graphics, but I like this because it means I get a full. It's easier to see more comments at a time in this view. We'll see. I might bug John to make some changes to make it a little bit easier to use H2R for that. But today we're back on the CSS version. Landon says, looking for a switcher with SDI and HDMI ins because I have a mix of cameras, but I love the ISO recording of all the inputs on the new ATEM. Okay to just convert SDI to HDMI and go with the ISO? Yeah, I would say so. You're not going to lose any quality converting from SDI to HDMI. So if you, yeah, and like I don't think they're even going to add ISO recording to any of the other switchers because that's, I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it. It doesn't seem like something they would do, but also none of this seems like something they would do. So yeah, converting your SDIs to HDMI to use the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Yeah, and I've got two of the converters here that are doing my Hyperdeck SDI to HDMI. So is there any way you can create an additional HDMI out if you're using the multi-view for the main out? The only way really is, well, okay, there are two ways. The Streaming Bridge is the new way, which not out yet, but it will be soon. That converts the streaming output to HDMI. And if you do it with just a direct connection cable, this is what Grant showed in the announcement. I think the latency was like less than a quarter second or so it's pretty good, but still noticeable. And you can go back and look at their announcement video and watch for where he plugs in the streaming bridge, because he had the view on the TV there, and you can see the delay. The other option is to use the USB webcam out into a computer, pull up something like QuickTime or OBS, any program, and then full screen it, or use like the output from that program over HDMI from your computer. Those are the only options, really. Not ideal. But that will be a lot less. That'll have less latency, probably no latency at that point, depending on the computer, of course. This is a good question. I need one more input for my ATEM Mini. Is having an HDMI splitter a good thing, or any other suggestion? So it depends on what you need it for. So the HDMI splitters, or I guess they're not called splitters. They're called, what are they called? No, I don't remember. But the ones that like you plug into a TV where you can choose multiple inputs, like switch between your DVD player and your VCR or whatever. VCRs didn't do HDMI. What am I talking about? Those switcher things. Those can work for this. Like you can put one of those in front of the ATEM Mini and then add a couple of inputs that way. You can get like 4 to 1s, right? The problem with those is that every time you switch on that, it's actually like, it's kind of like physically connecting the cable. So your device that's sending the signal will renegotiate with the ATEM, the HDMI signal. So it'll take a little bit of time, and it depends on what device is sending that signal. So if you imagine, like, your camera is probably quick enough to do it. Like if I unplug my camera and plug it back in, you'll see it takes a second for the video signal to sync up. If you do it with a computer, the computers tend to take a lot more time to like figure it out. So you wouldn't want to be switching back and forth really quick in order to do that. If you don't need to switch back and forth quickly, and if you don't need to be on this input while you switch, then it can work. So if you are only going to be switching from this view to then another ATEM input so that you can then swap your hardware switcher, like the slow switcher, in order to switch back, that could work. But I feel like it's a very particular use case where that actually makes sense. And you're doing that in order to save a few bucks. Whereas if you buy the ATEM Mini, the original, for $300, you get 4 inputs of seamless switching. So that's honestly the reason I've kept mine around, which is on my desk here. This is the one that's like, normally it's on that shelf, right? But when I need an extra input, this is actually a perfect solution for that, because now I can go between these two, and I'm not even using the other. But this is a lot better than one of those things with the physical buttons where the camera is going to have to resync. So like, I can show you what I mean. If I turn this one on, if I unplug my little camera from this, the main screen is going to go black. I'm going to plug it in. Here it goes right now. And okay, so that was like 2 seconds. Not great, right? So that's what it's going to do if you push one of those buttons. So yeah, I would recommend just like, the ATEM Minis are in stock now too. Like DVE Store has a bunch. So you can now actually get those again. Yeah, so and at $300, like, it's not even that much more expensive than a good version of one of those other splitters anyway. So here, I'll just drop an ATEM Mini link into the chat. So I think it's a really good way to deal with that. Okay, here's another question. Why does the cache go up on the ATEM Mini Pro while streaming sometimes? So the cache is there to buffer in the device before it goes up online, so that if your internet connection slows down or drops, it keeps recording internally in that buffer. And then when it comes back, it can flush the buffer and you don't actually lose any content. So I think I demonstrated this at one point on the stream. I'm not sure if I want to do that right now, but if I just like pull the internet connection, it'll keep going. It'll keep recording everything I'm saying. And if I was like showing a counter on the screen, if I plug it back in, you won't see any gaps in that counter because it starts then playing from the cache instead. And that's great for the times where you want to make sure you don't lose any content, even if it means that then your stream is effectively a little bit behind, because it's now playing from the cache instead of from real time. But that's what it's for. So if you're seeing that cache fill up, it probably means that your internet connection is too slow because it can't actually push it up fast enough. So try to either reduce your bitrate. That's one way to do it. So choose a lower streaming bitrate. That way you don't need as much of a connection. And yeah, so that's the cache deal. Okay, so I want to do an experiment here, and I hopefully have a little surprise as well. But we got a good crowd here, and I'm always curious how YouTube works, and how they decide when to send notifications to people. And I keep getting comments from people being like, "Oh, I missed your live stream because I didn't get a notification, even though I'm subscribed and hit the bell," which is really annoying, because I feel like if someone hits the bell, they want to get all the notifications. So my theory is that if everybody gives this video a thumbs up right now, it will cause YouTube to be like, "Oh, this is great. We should push the notification out." So if you can do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the like, and we'll see if this works. And as soon as I do this, yes. Okay, awesome. You guys are great. You all are fantastic. And let's see if this works. Ha 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 ha. I love it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for doing that. So the yeah, that's a fun little animation. This is thanks to the Hyperdeck that I've got here. So what I did, let me explain what's going on, because I have a feeling you all will want to know. Oh, interesting. People are saying that they got the notification 30 minutes before the stream started. That's pretty cool. Okay. So, okay, let me show you how this works, because I'm pretty excited about this. Let me go over to the multi-view for the ATEM. So I've got here, and oh, my Apple TV is, let me stop mirroring my phone. That way you can see my studio again. There we go. So I've got my test ATEM here, and I've got my main camera on this one input. I've got the Apple TV so I can share my phone or my camera from the studio. But I've got the Hyperdeck fill and key. So this is the new thing that I'm trying, and I'm really excited about actually using the Hyperdeck for. So what I've got in the Hyperdeck is this graphic, which plays these little animated 3D cubes spinning around. And the fill is the actual thing that you see. The key is the mask. So the way the transparency works is the transparency. So anything that's black in the key will be then transparent, and then the white is letting the fill through. So these graphics generators are doing this can actually generate these two separate things, right? These two separate. Well, it gets baked into one file, right? So this is like one.mov on here, but it's got the alpha channel, and the alpha channel is an output on the second SDI out of the Hyperdeck. So I'm feeding two HDMIs into the ATEM, and now I can use it as fill and key. So then I just set up a macro to configure the downstream key, which looks like let me go to that one. So the what you do on the downstream keyer is you choose Hyperdeck fill for the fill source, Hyperdeck key for the key source. And if you don't do that, what you end up with is, here, let me show you this. We'll pause that there, and we'll go full program. So this looks great because we're using a proper mask to get nice edges. If I only had one channel, right, like you would normally do for any sort of like a computer playing graphics, then you have to use a Luma key, and the downstream key is a Luma keyer, and that's going to let you choose what level of black to key out below it, right? So this almost works. Like, it's pretty good because my source graphic is very clean and the black is completely flat. But you might notice, I might have to make this full screen in order to show that. So you might know, yeah, this is more obvious now. So if you look around the edges of these boxes, you can see that there's a little fuzz. And that's because these are, pixels, and it has to decide which pixel is transparent or not, and then it can't like blend it. But when you can use a totally separate keying channel, which is actually the black and white or grayscale image, now we can smooth out the edges there, and it actually looks a lot better now. So I think that's pretty cool, and means you can do some pretty fun animations with the ATEM because because now I'm using two HDMIs of that, and then I can actually do proper graphics with transparency. Yeah. Okay, cool. That was fun. And I like the little animations. That was just something I downloaded from like a stock photo website, stock video website. You can find lots of that kind of stuff. I was going to make one in Resolve to learn Resolve, and I was like, well, maybe I should not try to rush and do that right now. So I just downloaded that and it worked fine. Awesome. Okay. Cool. So, oh, hey, John, good to see you here. Where is H2R graphics in your setup? Not today, not today. I'm using Hyperdeck for my animations and my hacky CSS for the chat. But I'll probably go back and forth. All right. People are saying everybody got a 30-minute notification. This is fascinating. Because I didn't start streaming. I didn't even push up video 30 minutes before. That's really interesting. And then Jamie says I got an email 1 minute before. Okay, yeah. So that was when I actually started. That's when I pushed the button that says go live. I did that a minute before 10 a.m. And then I just had my logo up. But I'm really fascinated about the 30-minute notification because that was not, I wasn't giving YouTube any indication I was actually live at that point. I wasn't even feeding video before I hit YouTube's go live button. Fascinating. All right, let me keep going with some questions. Okay, here is a question about the YOLO box. The YOLO box doesn't stream at 1080p. According to YouTube platform policy, they stipulate the maximum distributed video resolution of the YOLO box live streaming can only reach 720. That's bizarre. I have no idea what that means. I have a feeling you can do a workaround. So the YOLO box does support 1080 resolution, but I have noticed that anytime it goes and makes a YouTube live feed, it makes the streaming key at 720. So let me see if I can show you this without. Yeah, I'm not going to show you my stream key if I do this. So if I show you my YouTube dashboard, so it makes these streaming keys, right? And this is the one I'm on right now, auto-generated key. But if you look in the list of these, oh, I can't because this one's live. Can I do this in another tab? Is this going to be dangerous? Yeah, okay, I can just do this with another one. Create a new one, test. We'll just do that just in case. And what I can do, oh, what did I get? Why did I get flagged? Come on. YouTube, come on. Okay, I'll deal with that later. I didn't say anything bad. Okay. Default key, no. So if I don't do that, here's what it does. It makes streaming keys at 720p. So if I make a new stream key, when you make the streaming key, you choose the resolution. So you can see it wants a 3 to 6 megabit per second stream for 1080. But if I made a streaming key at that resolution, YouTube is going to convert whatever I send to 720. So what ends up happening is, for whatever reason, and it sounds like maybe it might be not YOLOBox's fault, but it's YouTube's fault, the streaming key gets created at 720, and then the YOLOBox, even if it sends 1080, YouTube downscales it to 720. So the way around this is if you don't use the YouTube setup button in the YOLOBox, you just go here, make a streaming key at 1080, grab the key itself, and paste that in the general RTMP streaming in the YOLOBox. You'll get around that limitation because then it's not using the YouTube API to create that. If that makes sense. Cool. Okay. So that was that question. Let me go back to here. And yeah, somehow, oh man, I'm annoyed that YouTube is doesn't like is just demonetizing my live stream. All right. I can just go and appeal that after the stream is over. So, okay, here's a related question. What is the lowest bitrate you would do? So YouTube recommends a range of bit rates, right? So for 1080, they say 3 to 6. So if you go any lower than 3, it's going to start looking bad. So I would probably just stick with that as the lowest. But if you do need to save bandwidth, you can just do 720 streaming instead. Obviously not out of the ATEM, but yeah, I would probably just stick with YouTube's recommendations for the bit rates. All right. Renee says, what's the advantage of the separate key instead of predefined key in video? Do you mean pre-multiplied key? So for video, like the ATEM doesn't have any video support itself, right? So you're always bringing in video from something else. If you do bring in video from something else, and this is actually one of the other challenges with bringing in the chat via H2R graphics or even this key, like you can see that it's not perfect. Like if you look at the edge, there's a little black ring around that icon, and then the name Renee isn't quite fully black because I didn't quite get the key right. And if I had the ability to send an alpha channel from this, I could fix that. H2R graphics actually does do this. Let me see if I can open that up real quick. But H2R graphics actually has a solution for this if you have enough outputs from your computer. But if you go and do like, here, let me do lower thirds, show. So if you do chroma window, which is like what I normally do, because I just have one output, it's just going to be your one window. And normally you would do like a color, but lately I've been doing just a black background and using a Luma key. But it also has key fill. And what this does is same thing that I was doing out of the Hyperdeck, where it actually gives you two windows, and you would put these on two different monitors, full screen them on both, run two inputs into the ATEM. And now when I show the graphic, this is where the text is, and this is the key. So you can see that it's doing the slide out animation using the key. So only whatever pixels are white here is what's going to show up live in the ATEM. So that is super cool. That is a great reason to use the key fill option in H2R graphics. I'm assuming the chat does it too. Yeah. So that means you actually get a nice clean edge around this instead of my little rough edge with the way I'm doing it right now. Cool. So regarding AV sync issues, are there any standalone devices or software that can delay audio? So the ATEM Mini can do it now. The ATEM Mini added audio delay built in, which is super, super, super cool. So I think it's only 8 frames at most, but that's fine for most cameras. I think this camera is pretty significantly delayed compared to like my GH5S, but I was still able to use the delay to match this one. But if that's not an option for whatever reason, the Behringer Shark is probably the device you want to get. It's a little box. It's actually called a feedback destroyer, but it has a delay feature built into it. And it can delay more than that. So it has if you need to, for whatever reason, delay it more than 8 frames, it can do that. But the other thing is a lot of the software stuff can do it as well. So like OBS has it all built in as well. Ivan says, don't you mean 2 SDIs from the Hyperdeck? Yeah, but there's no SDIs into the ATEM, so I converted them to HDMIs. Controlling Technology says 30 minutes notification is based on your scheduled stream start time. It won't happen if you make your stream within 30 minutes. If you make your stream within 30 minutes of the start time. Oh, like if I start streaming within 30 minutes? Well, but I started pushing video about 3 minutes before the scheduled start time, and I hit the go live button 1 minute before. But I don't get emails from most people's live streams 30 minutes ahead of time, even if I clicked remind me. So I feel like there's some sort of magic black box going on there of deciding who gets the notifications and why. No one seems to have the ATEM Mini Pro or ISO in stock. Can you buy directly from Blackmagic? No, you have to go through one of their resellers. Nobody has them in stock because there just aren't any yet. But the best thing you can do is just get on the list, just get on someone's list. So DVE Store has been doing a great job of getting a constant stream of them in. Basically, just call someone up, ask how long their line is, and place an order, and you'll get in the queue. If you don't do that, you'll never get one because no one's ever going to have them in stock. Like just finally, like a couple weeks ago, the ATEM Minis are now showing up as in stock. But yeah, the best thing you can do is just get your order in if you know you want one. Simon says, I got an advert displayed at the beginning of the stream, even though I have YouTube Premium. That's really strange. I have no idea what to make of that. Also, I'm annoyed that you got an advert and then YouTube decided that my stream can't be monetized. So that's very strange. I have no idea. All right. Oh, so Joe says you use upstream key or downstream key for the chats. I use the downstream key because I have a black background. So it's it is the so it's just a Luma key. The downstream key is a Luma key. So it works great for that. And what it means is that the upstream keyer is then free for doing like this, where the upstream keyer is the one doing the picture-in-picture and the downstream keyer is doing the chat. So I like that I can then have both of those in use at the same time. All right. Do you have any workflow recommendations for how to use a Blackmagic web presenter with an ATEM? Is that the one that's the web presenter is essentially like the precursor to the ATEM because it's a USB webcam device with 2 inputs, if I remember correctly. I don't know how I would use that together because the USB output of the ATEM Mini is pretty much serves that same purpose. Yeah, not sure. Tim says, will you do another video on the YOLO box or the A10? I did send the A10 back, so no more videos about that one probably. They have some other things that they want to send me though, so I might do some videos on some of their other devices. The YOLO box, I'm definitely planning on doing more videos on. I still have it here. I'm waiting for a couple of software updates for them to do before I do a video, but I gave them a whole list of feedback changes. So I will be doing more videos on that for sure as soon as they ship some more updates. I get stream notifications from many others. Okay. If you create the stream in YouTube Studio and set the scheduled start time for within 30 minutes. Oh, that makes sense. If I'm like, I'm about to go live, make the stream right now for 30 minutes in the future, they're not going to send it out. That's fair. Yeah. I have the ATEM Mini and the GoPro, and it doesn't seem worth it as a live stream solution. Should I not give up? I'm curious what isn't working for you with that. So I will say GoPros are not my favorite options for this kind of streaming camera situation. But it should work. Let me know if you have a particular problem with the GoPro. You should definitely like give it constant power, but I'm pretty sure those can be powered over USB while they're on. And I know other people are using GoPros with it as well. So I would say like, don't give up because it definitely is, it is possible. Oh, and I see people are selling ATEM Mini Pros in my chat right now. This is great. The web presenter is only 720p. The ATEM Mini can do 1080p. I don't know what use the web presenter is anymore, honestly. Okay, Tim, you ordered your ISO yesterday and it was delivered at 7 a.m. this morning. That is pretty fantastic service. But yeah, you're in the UK. For some reason, none of the US distributors have got theirs yet. So I don't have mine yet. And I don't know when it's going to show up, but hopefully very soon, because I want to play with it. And I'm very annoyed that all the people in Europe are getting theirs ahead of me. Yeah. Don't know what to say about that. Okay. So, oh, I should actually, oh, this is a good question. I love your NDI solution with your iPhone and Apple TV. Are there any similar solutions for Android, maybe with a Chromecast? If you can find an NDI Camera app for Android, that will work with the Apple TV app because it's NDI. So that's an option for you. But Chromecast, I don't know if that would work. I feel like it's not quite powerful enough. Yeah, so it's worth a shot. It's cheap enough. It's like $30 to get a Chromecast. I don't have an Android phone, so I have no real experience with this. But if there is a possibility to have some sort of camera app cast its display to the Chromecast, then it would work. I just don't think I have a feeling it's not quite powerful enough to do that. But if there is an Android app, an Android NDI camera app, then that would push to that would be able to push to the Apple TV NDI receiver. And it doesn't matter if you don't need an iPhone in order to get the Apple TV. So that's something to look at anyway. Oh yeah, this is a good point about the GoPro. Turn it to 1080p. Don't put it in 4K, and turn off stabilization. That one's really important. That tripped me up the first time I tried plugging in my GoPro to this thing. And with stabilization on, it is super, super delayed, like unusable amount of delay. But with the stabilization off, it's fine. Tim, scroll back like 30 seconds. I just mentioned this. Michael says, I have the TriCaster Mini. I love the DDR and DSK. I think ATEM will eventually add those internally. It's good for setting up triggered events. Do a lot of motion alpha graphics. I don't know what the DDR is. I don't have a TriCaster, and I've tried to use one exactly once and failed. But I do not think the ATEM Mini will ever get the ability to play motion graphics itself. Only the larger 4K ATEMs have motion graphics built in, and even then it's very limited. Like you get basically a certain number of frames and it's like counted in frames. It's like 120 or something, right? So you can do like a few seconds for like a transition or a logo. And it works similar to the media pool, I guess, where you like load them in. But it's not really like playing a video file. Like it just feels different. And yeah, that's why the Hyperdeck is a good solution, so that with the Hyperdeck, you can actually load much longer clips on, 64 gigabyte SD cards where the space is basically unlimited, and play motion graphics from that. And then with macros, you can actually choose, like a macro can load in a particular clip from the card. So that's how I've got this set up, right? Where when I push this, didn't work. What did I do? I messed up somewhere. Well, when I do the button for the likes, it rolls loads the clip, hits play, and then queues it all up. So there it goes. That effectively is a way to do motion graphics in the ATEM Mini. So I don't think they're going to build it in. It takes too much hardware to do that. Okay, so speaking of graphics, can you add sources to ATEM Mini Pro via the internet like lyrics? So sort of. Basically what you would do is you'd do that the way I'm doing this chat. So if you can get a browser window looking the way you want it to look like in the Mini with a black background that's going to be transparent, then you can either full screen that on a computer out over HDMI into the ATEM, or use a Chromecast like I'm doing, or AirPlay, to mirror just this one tab. So like this chat, I'm actually mirroring just this one tab over there so that I don't have to share, so I can actually do other stuff on my screen without changing what is showing up down here. So if the lyrics site has the ability to like give you a full screen that you can then make as one of the HDMI inputs, that would work. Tommy says your lighting looks pretty good. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty happy with this situation on this desk. I'm not happy with that situation yet on my other desk, but reasonably pleased with this one. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Tim says, do you have any reviews, recommendations of external solid state drives for the ISO? So Blackmagic publishes a list of recommended drives, and it's usually best to stick to that list because those are the ones they've tested. However, all that means that those are the ones they've tested. Other ones do work. And I've had no problem plugging in pretty much anything into my ATEM. So I've got like I've used this SD card with it through like a USB-C to SD card adapter. I used my my 2 terabyte SanDisk, which I really like, the little portable one. And that works totally fine. So I think this is a lot less sensitive to differences in drives compared to some of their other things. Like the Hyperdeck is actually really picky about what SD cards it can write to. But I think the ATEM Mini is a lot more forgiving. Yeah. Cool. If you're in Germany, you can get one right now. And if you're in the UK, you can get one right now. Someone send me theirs because I don't have mine yet. Oh, good. Followed your advice and got an ATEM Mini a few weeks ago from a small local dealer. Awesome. The GH5, the audio delay is 10 frames. Ooh, that doesn't sound right. I feel like mine is a lot less delayed than that. Maybe it is the stabilization. Give it a shot. Nathan says you can cast your entire Android screen. Okay, you just need a camera app that can go full screen without overlays. Yeah, that's the trick. I haven't found any iOS apps that do that. They all have some sort of overlay, or and even if it's not, even if it is like clean feed, it's mirroring the screen. It's not actually sending the camera out. And a lot of the times they'll be like, if you brush the screen even a little bit, the controls come back, which is really annoying. But I would still be worried about the ability for the Chromecast to display that much data and in that frame rate that you want for a camera. Because like even this chat, like if you look, where's this one? Like it's not super smooth. It's like, okay, it's definitely delayed compared to when I click it. You can't tell, but it is definitely delayed. And I've noticed that like it's compressed. It's not 100% clean compared to what I would get out HDMI out from my computer. So yeah. Yes, this is a great point. AJ, the CEO, go check out his channel. He specializes in like ATEM Mini for church setups. Definitely has a lot of good videos for doing that kind of stuff. I don't really do that kind of stuff, so I'm a lot less familiar. Cool. We have some old Sony FX1000s, plan to use them as cameras, new life from older HDV technology. They have HDMI out at 1080i. We have problems. no, it should work because the ATEM Mini has a frame rate converter in it. So I guess you'd want to make sure that your frame rate is high enough that the interlacing, you compensate for the interlacing. So like I believe it can do 1080i 60. If your cameras can do 1080i 60, I think the ATEM Mini can support 1080i 60 in. So it'll then convert it itself. I'm just looking up the spec page on that, and if you look at the specs on this, somewhere in here they show input standards, and it'll convert any of these to whatever you've got the ATEM set at. So if your cameras are doing 1080i 60, it'll convert it to a 1080p signal if that's what you've got your ATEM set to. Cool. Should work fine. All right. Do you have a tutorial on using Live Solo with the Apple TV? I don't, but I should. I'm planning on doing a video about all the different options for getting iPhone cameras into the ATEM because there's a lot of options and a lot of different things that work at varying degrees of quality. Yep. Oh, this is a good one. How about using RJ45 Ethernet for extending video to HDMI? It should work fine. I haven't actually used mine with ATEM, but I have used those before for like when I do conferences where the stage is like 50 feet from the video booth or more. And I have little HDMI to Ethernet converters, and then you run a long Ethernet wire. Although I will say SDI seems to be more reliable for me. And now this did not exist when I was doing that, but there's HDMI fiber connectors, cables. So it's not even a converter, it's just HDMI on both ends, but it's fiber in between. And that sounds like a very good option. And I'm gonna probably, if I ever do one of those gigs again, if there ever are any of those gigs again, I'll probably try that because that sounds like a great option. Cool. Okay, so we are just a little bit past the top of the hour. I do want to mention that I am going to be doing my very first giveaway on this channel, and very soon, not right now, but I'm going to do it timed with when I expect I'm going to hit 10K on YouTube. So thank you all very much for subscribing because it means a lot. And my goal this year was to get to 10K. And by October, actually. And I think I'm well on track to do that. So to celebrate that, I am going to be doing a giveaway here. And it is with, is the giveaway a picture of you? I can include a picture of me if you want one. No, the giveaway is actually going to be a YOLO box, and not mine because they're actually giving me one to give away. So that is pretty cool. And we'll be setting that up shortly, probably launch it in a month or so. So it'll be very, very straightforward to enter. You won't have to do anything, jump over any hoops. Yeah, so make sure you subscribe, and I'm going to post a, probably not a video, but I'm going to post in the little stories tab. So you'll be able to see the announcement there, and I'll post on Twitter as well. So follow me there. I'm Aaron PK. But yeah, that'll be announced very soon. John says, "Are you racing Doug and Whit?" Well, they beat me, so that'd be a terrible race. They just hit 10K yesterday, which is super awesome. So they had a nice, fun little live stream party on yesterday, and that was very cute. So yeah, they hit 10K. That's awesome. I'm just a little bit behind them. I will be there very soon. So yeah, make sure you follow me on Twitter or follow or subscribe here, and I'll post when that giveaway goes live and try to time that around the 10K mark. Oh, John says that you're getting there fast. Can't wait to see you in a tux like Doug. Should I do a 10K party where I wear a tux? We'll see. Maybe I'll do. Maybe I'll. Now I have an idea. Okay, that's going to be a surprise though, because cannot give that one away. Jason says, what happened to your verified checkmark? Good question. It should still be there. Am I not verified anymore? I'd be very sad if that's true. Anyway, okay, we're going to wrap it up with this. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. And thank you for watching the videos. I'm going to post another video on Thursday. It's actually a pretty cool one. And about a new product that's about to go live. So I think a lot of you are going to like it. So keep an eye out for that video on Thursday. And subscribe, thumbs up. I see almost all of you here gave a video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And thanks. I will see you in the next one.